Okay.
Balleck? I mean, I was saying Balleck, that's B-A-L-L-E-K.
Sure, sorry.
That would be you.
That would be me. My writing is not fast. I live in Sheffield. I'm also on the Planning Commission. I live approximately 2.6 miles from the nearest turbines, but I'm in an area that's kind of like a horseshoe area, and the way the mountains are formed, they kind of come around me a little bit, and there's a couple ridges over it. I can't hear them. But I have visited Therians who live on Duck Pond Road, I'd say 6 or 7 times. And I would say at least 2 or 3 of the times. There's times I've been there and it's been quiet. There's other times I've been there, and I can say 2 times in particular, it sounded to me like a jet on a runway that just didn't stop. It went on. I was there for 3 hours, and it continued to roar. The good thing is I got to go home. They have to live with it. Another thing I noticed, and this is, I think it's also coming out of the ground, because you can hear it if you're just standing straight up. If you put your head down to maybe hip level, it's coming out of the ground. You can hear it. It's actually louder. So I don't know if the ground is trapping it or what, but I mean, by putting your head maybe at hip level, there's a big difference. I mean, it's louder. It's visibly, there's problems. I think that the Therians, they're visibly, at times I go over there, they're visibly sick. I'm not a doctor. I know we have a nurse over here. I'm no expert, but they're sick. They're definitely experiencing some kind of symptoms. They look like they haven't slept. And I understand why people have problems sleeping. I mean, you're 2 feet off of the floor. And if some of the sound is coming out from the ground, I mean, it's understandable. Another thing I'd like to say here, and this is kind of awkward. It may be awkward for some people. You may not want to even do this. I understand there's paid lobbyists here, and there's developers, and they're going to want to protect their investment or potential investment. You also have individuals here that are supporting this project, and I think a fair question to ask is anybody here that supports this project, do they have themselves or family members that are profiting in some way from an industrial wind project, either currently or somewhere in the future? Because I really question it. I mean, I think that needs to be looked at. Are they somehow profiting from it? And I know you probably don't want to ask that question. It sounds awkward, but I think it should be asked. And anybody who has been over to the Therians and experienced what I did, and like I said, I got to go home, but they actually got to hear that. And they could stand there and say they didn't hear anything. I think they need to have their hearing checked. I really question their credibility. And that's all I have to say.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
You live 2.5 miles from the turbines yourself.
About 2.6.
Okay. What do you hear?
I can't hear anything. I'm in an area I'm like surrounded by Hardscrabble Mountain and Grout Mountain, and then it goes down into another valley, and there's another ridge line, and they're off in another direction. So yeah, there's places I can't hear it at all. Oh, and it reminds me, I should add, I've been by the King George School. Sometimes I don't hear them. Other times I can hear them, and they're loud. Not as loud as over at Stephen Luann's house, but they're noisy. And I don't have great hearing, but I can hear it. And to be honest with you, I couldn't live with something like that. If it goes on for hours and hours,